While there are plenty of amazing natural events that take place in our world, none are quite as incredible as lava flows. They are mesmerizing, dangerous, and destructive forces of nature. Here are 15 mesmerizing lava flows. Number 15. The Lava Fall. While waterfalls are usually made out of, well, water, this clip shows a stream of lava flowing into the ocean below. Coming out of the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii, it began to flow in July of 2016, but created a waterfall after destroying the land around it on December 31st of that year. As you can see, the flow rate of the lava is extremely fast, yet despite the intensity of the lava, both hikers and sightseeing boats have opted to venture just meters away from it. And while they certainly risked their lives in order to do so, the pictures they must have taken were certainly priceless. Number 14. An underwater volcano. Typically speaking, when a volcano erupts, lava comes up from its core and layers the surrounding areas with it. Yet in the case of underwater volcanoes, the story is a little different. That's because the presence of cold and abundant quantities of water causes lava to cool and solidify much quicker than it does on land. And as a result, underwater land masses can effectively be built by these eruptions. As seen in the clip, the lava does flow freely, yet not long after it escapes, it solidifies into hard rock. And while most of these rocks never come above the surface, at times entirely new islands are made when these underwater eruptions occur. A famous example of this in action was the island of Surtsey, which appeared off the coast of Iceland after an eruption on November 14th in 1963. So we do think it's fair to say that underwater eruptions are some of the coolest lava flows out there. Number 13. Mount Mayon. While the Philippines may not be the first place that comes to mind when you think of volcanoes, its proximity to the Pacific Ring of Fire puts it in the perfect place to have quite a few of them. Yet of the 22 active volcanoes in the country, Mount Mayon is the most active of the bunch. Standing at almost 2,500 meters tall, it quite frequently spurts out lava. Yet on January 13th of 2018, an especially incredible event occurred. That's because the volcano spewed forth a lava plume that reached a height of about 700 meters, causing a massive lava flow to spill down the mountain. This forced 56,000 people in the surrounding areas to flee for their lives, and these flows didn't stop until the end of the month. So we think it's fair to say that while we may find Mount Mayon's lava flows to be impressive, the locals were probably less than thrilled to see them. Number 12. Mount Erebus. While Antarctica may be one of the coldest places on Earth, it's also home to an extremely warm volcano. Located on Ross Island, it is the southernmost volcano in the world and is known for its consistent eruptions. These blasts are generally quite weak in nature, allowing the volcano to produce a lava lake that has existed uninterrupted for years. And while this makes it not all that deadly, it's been the site of a famous plane crash. Occurring on November 28th of 1979, New Zealand Flight 901 crashed into Mount Erebus after a deceptive lightning phenomenon known as the flying in a cloud theory, and the flat light phenomenon made it impossible for the pilot to see the volcano. Leading to the deaths of all 257 people on board, it was easily one of the worst volcanic-related accidents in aeronautic history. Number 11. Piton de la Fornes. Put simply, Reunion is remote. So remote that in fact it's located in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Yet despite being a relatively unknown corner of the globe, it's home to a large 2,600 meter tall volcano. Known as Piton de la Fornes, it's considered to be one of the most active volcanoes in the world and has had several eruptions in the last decade. When erupting, it also exhibits several types of lava flows, with these ranging from being free-flowing and fast to slow and steady. And regardless of which ones you like most, watching clips from the lava flows that occurred there on February 18th to the 19th of 2019 certainly is quite cool. Number 10. The Leilani Estates lava flow. While lava flows are often fast and deadly, the ones that let off from the Kilauea volcano were anything but. For reference, this volcano is located on the Big Island in Hawaii and has historically been one of the most active of the island's 5 volcanoes. In fact, it's so active that it erupted multiple times between 1983 and 2018. Yet this video was taken near the tail end of this activity on May 4th of 2018. In the clip, we see a large lava flow slowly inch towards the Leilani Estates subdivision, following both an eruption and a 6.9 magnitude earthquake. While its speed was quite slow at less than 2 kilometers per hour, it destroyed nearly everything in its path, eating up trees and eventually taking out houses as it made its way through the area. This meant that the area's 2,000 or so residents were forced to flee and eventually came home to find their property destroyed. Worst of all, the eruptions continued all the way until September, effectively upheaving the lives of local residents for months on end. However, we bet that the locals are just happy that this lava flow wasn't traveling a tad bit faster. Number 9. The Lake of Lava. While most lakes on our planet are made out of water, in 2014 a very special Icelandic rendition was formed out of lava. That's because after a fissure eruption began in central Iceland on August 29th of 2014, massive amounts of lava began to flow up from the ground below. The eruption lasted until February 27th of 2015, and once all was said and done, it had expelled about 1.4 cubic kilometers of lava over an area of 85 square kilometers. For reference, this not only made it the largest lava field in Iceland since 1783, but was large enough to be roughly equal to the size of Manhattan. Unsurprisingly, such a large lava lake captured a lot of attention, and this is what compelled US videographer Eric Cheng to bring a drone to the site. And while the drone had to deal with the extremely hot temperature of the lava and the extremely cold temperature of Iceland itself, it was able to capture some truly stunning clips of the area. Best of all, the lava lake can still be visited today and is certainly somewhere to add to your bucket list if you ever decide to travel to Iceland. Number 8. The Elephant Foot. Few things are quite as catastrophic as the meltdown of a nuclear power plant. And while radiation is the most concerning consequence of meltdowns, it turns out that these events can also create a sort of nuclear lava. Now, the science behind the creation of this lava is quite complicated, but in essence, the process begins when a plant's uranium container cannot be sufficiently cooled. This allows the uranium in the reactor to melt its fuel rods, creating a sort of nuclear waste known as corium lava. In Chernobyl, this corium lava managed to make its way through 2 meters of piping, and this is especially dangerous because the elephant foot that formed will likely be radioactive for centuries. At its creation, the foot was actually strong enough to kill a human within 5 minutes of standing close by. Yet today, it's far less radioactive than it was 35 years ago. Regardless, this deadly lava flow could have easily been prevented had there been better safety protocols at the plant. Number 7. Erta Volcano. While most volcanoes are located in mountainous areas, Erta stands apart for being in the middle of a desert. Located in the Afar region of northeastern Ethiopia, the fault that it sits on is known as the Afar Depression. It is known for having a continuously flowing lava lake and is reportedly one of the 8 volcanoes in the world that has one. Interestingly enough, this is possible due to it having an effusive rather than an explosive eruption, as its lava steadily flows out along the ground rather than in large bursts. The result of this is a black lake of lava that is nothing if not captivating. Now, while you may be tempted to visit this volcano, we'd advise against it. That's because it's not only surrounded by some of the most inhospitable land on Earth, but it's in an area known for being extremely violent. In fact, the situation there has gotten so bad that in 2012, 5 tourists were killed and 2 were taken hostage after an attack by the Afar Revolutionary Democratic Unity Front. And in 2017, a German tourist was shot and killed while traversing the lava flow. If you do decide to go, we'd suggest bringing a large military escort with you. Number 6. Maram Lava Lake. While many of the lava flows on this list have existed for years, the Maram Lava Lake has disappeared quite recently. For reference, it was located on the small island country of Vanuatu in the South Pacific Ocean, and the lake itself was situated inside the large Ambrym volcano. For years, no one had actually been all that close to the lake, due to it being hard to get to. Yet in 2012, Jeff Mackley and Bradley Ambrose got within 30 meters of it after a 35-day hike. With the help of breathing apparatus and heat-proof proximity suits, the pair were able to take 40 minutes of film, and in the process, they captured some of the most beautiful lava flows in the world. In 2017, Google Street View even managed to get a picture of the lake on record. Yet if you try to venture to Maram Lava Lake today, you'll be sorely disappointed. That's because a massive 2018 eruption essentially drained the lake, and now there's no more lava left in the reservoir. Number 5. Odonyo Lengai. While the name of this volcano may sound strange to many, it easily has some of the coolest lava flows on the planet. Translating to Mountain of God in the local Maasai language, this lava stands apart for not only being black and running, but also being relatively cold. This volcano is found in northern Tanzania and is part of a fault line known as the Gregory Rift. It expels a rare form of lava, known as natural carbonatite, and at a temperature of 510 degrees Celsius, it's so cold that it's rarely hot enough to turn red, and instead maintains a black color. This relatively cool temperature has made for some pretty incredible stories, with the most shocking being a 2007 event when a man fell into the lava and survived. However, it should be noted that while he became the first man in history to fall into lava and live to tell the tale, he still had severe burns on his arms and legs and had to be taken to hospital. Now, beyond the lack of heat, the lava is also strange due to its viscosity. That's because rather than be thick and rocky, it seems to run like water. This can largely be attributed to its lack of framework making molecular chains of silica, as the lava is made up of mostly calcium and sodium rather than silica and oxygen. Yet as a consequence of this, the lava is also fast enough to outpace a running human, making it a good thing that this volcano doesn't erupt all too often. However, in tandem, the lava's cool temperatures and unique molecular makeup ensure that its eruptions are often quite strange. That's because rather than spurt into the air and fall to the ground, odonyo lengai's lava often freezes in midair and shatters into pieces that drift away in the wind. So, we think it's fair to say that this volcano's lava flows truly are an oddity. Number 4. The Plaski Tulbachek Volcano. While Russia's Far East region of Kamchatka is just about as remote as it gets, it certainly has its fair share of natural wonders. That's because it's home to the Plaski Tulbachek Volcano, which at almost 3,700 meters tall is absolutely massive in size. Tulbachek exists today thanks to its position on the Pacific Plate, which is a subduction zone that slides under Eurasia. This subduction zone has caused a string of volcanoes to form, with the volcanoes starting in Japan and running north into Kamchatka. And while certain Russian volcanoes, such as Sheveluch, Klyuchevskoy, and Bezmiany are known for being very active, between 2012 and 2013, it was Tulbachek that decided to blow. It has been dormant for almost 40 years when it began to spurt lava in November of 2012. This eruption didn't end until September of 2013, and at its peak it was producing lava fountains that were as much as a few hundred meters high, and lava flows that were as much as 20 kilometers in length. Once all was said and done, most experts believe that it produced some of the largest lava flows of the 21st century, as it deposited a total of 0.4 cubic kilometers of lava around the volcano's surrounding areas. However, what makes this lava flow especially unique is that diamonds were found within it. At first, scientists were not sure where these diamonds came from, and most speculated that they were either xenoliths brought up from the ground or byproducts of the synthetic diamonds found on human drills. Yet the truth of the matter was that these diamonds came from the crystallization of gas within the lava, as these diamonds showed impurities such as nitrogen, fluorine, chlorine, and silicon. And while it may be too late to get your share of these glittering treasures, they were still quite cool. Number 3. Homemade lava. While most of the lava flows on this list can be attributed to massive volcanoes, this lava flow was entirely man-made. Known as the Syracuse University Lava Project, the initiative began when sculpting professor Bob Wysotsky approached geology professor Jeff Carson with the idea of creating natural-scale lava flows from real volcanic rock. After drafting up plans to acquire affordable basalt, the two set to work creating a massive outdoor oven where they could create the lava. They first began experimenting by creating 25 to 40 kilogram melts inside an indoor furnace, but soon expanded the operation by purchasing an old $2,000 furnace and making some improvements so it could melt rock. It took them about 3 years to get everything just right, and after finding out how to render water out of the basalt, they were ready to get going. Now, what makes their contraption truly unique is that it allows different types of lava flows to be created. As put by Professor Carson, quote, "Most lava flows, we never see them flowing, so you never really know how they got in those shapes. All we're left with is the final form of the lava. So we're learning a lot about how to decode or how to understand what these shapes mean," end quote. This machine has allowed them to change different variables so that they can examine different flow shapes, and the end result of these efforts have been a total of 5 scientific papers and more than 20 expositions that directly use this lava machine. They also regularly have students of all ages watch the lava flows, which is especially cool, since this is a phenomenon that would otherwise require a trip to a volcano thousands of kilometers away. To top this off, Professor Wysotsky is even planning on using the machine to create lava flows in unique areas, and he has hopes to recreate them in places like hotel lobbies, deserts, and even Central Park. While on our end, we just hope that the two will soon be able to show off their new machine far and wide. Number 2. Mount Etna. While there are plenty of volcanoes around the world, one of the most recent to have erupted is Mount Etna. Located on the southern Italian island of Sicily, it lies above the convergent plate between the African plate and the Eurasian plate. Widely considered to be the most active volcano in Europe outside of the Caucasus, its geographical location has made it a thing of lore for millennia. It actually played a large role in the myths of the ancient Greeks, as Mount Etna was supposedly the spot where both the deadly monster Typhon was trapped by Zeus and where Hephaestus kept his forge. Beyond the myths, the volcano's frequent eruptions have also helped the surrounding people, as the soil around the Mount Etna region is considered to be very fertile and supports an endless array of vineyards and orchards. Yet due to its proximity to many cities, it could easily cause widespread devastation if it were to have a major eruption event. Thankfully, this hasn't happened in recent history. Yet since February 3rd of 2021, the volcano has been erupting non-stop. And while it doesn't seem to pose too big of a threat, the 3,700-meter-high plume of ash and smoke sparked several earthquakes and opened up 5 volcanic vents. The ash that came out of it also forced local airports to ground all flights. And in the cities, this ash has also covered many cars and buildings, necessitating a massive cleaning effort. Yet considering that most of the challenges brought about by the eruption are temporary, we'd assume that most Sicilians are just happy that the eruption isn't any worse. Number 1. Krakatoa. Of all the volcanoes on planet Earth, none are quite as infamous as Krakatoa. Located in the Sunda Strait between the Indonesian islands of Java and Sumatra, it's responsible for the largest volcanic eruption in recorded human history. Occurring in August of 1883, the eruption was so large that it not only completely decimated the island where it resided, but let out a force equivalent to 200 megatons of TNT. For reference, this is 200 times the strength of the Hiroshima nuclear bomb and was strong enough to be heard 3,100 kilometers away in Perth, Australia. It also created shockwaves that circled the planet at least 7 times and led to a massive tsunami that completely destroyed 165 coastal villages. To make matters worse, the explosions hurled about 45 cubic kilometers of debris into the atmosphere. And this not only blocked out the sun in the local area for 3 days, but also led to a 1.2 degrees Celsius drop in the world's average temperature over the next 5 years. In tandem, this eruption managed to directly kill over 36,000 people, with further thousands dying indirectly years later thanks to the eruption's after effects. Unfortunately, since videos didn't exist in 1883, we can't show you a clip of this eruption's incredible lava flow. However, in October of 2018, a much more small-scale eruption occurred, causing massive plumes of lava to flow down the volcano. The resulting tsunamis killed an estimated 160 people in coastal areas. Thus, Krakatoa's past and present eruptions easily make it one of the most deadliest volcanoes in human history. Watch our nature playlist for more top 15 videos about beautiful nature. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best nature videos.